I am Dr. Charles Sekyere. I'm currently a senior lecturer at the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I am the chair for the Wind and Hydro Research Group under the Brew-Hammond Energy Centre. First and foremost, our primary aim is to develop capacity so that we will be able to design and implement real-life wind and hydro power plants to support the rural electrification project in Ghana. You know, urban electrification rate is very high in Ghana, but the rural one is still relatively low because of various constraints. For instance, accessibility. You know, some are island communities. It's not easy to extend the grid, mountainous areas, islands, etc. So there's still a significant number of remote rural communities that don't have access to electricity. So we want to position ourselves so that we can develop and implement such plans locally, using locally available materials in order to support the electrification agenda in Ghana. The VRA is currently supporting us, okay? There's a project going on. We are partnering with them in respect of hydro alone, not the wind side of what we do at the Brew. And so we have a PhD student who has already started doing some feasibility studies on, you know, the river around here, so that in the course of time we can build a real-life plan for demonstration. Hydro is well developed in Ghana. We have 3 notable large-scale hydropower projects in Ghana. That is Akosombo, which is one of the oldest in the West African sub-region. We actually supply neighboring countries power. You know, we've been doing that for years. And then Pong came along, and then recently Bui, okay, and then of course the small-scale Chachadu plant that. So we have a well-resourced hydropower sector in Ghana, okay, with respect to large hydro plants, okay. What we have to do with respect to hydro now is to develop smaller hydro projects. Like I said before, there are some of the communities that we can never extend the grid to, okay, the national grid to, but they have smaller hydro water resources, waterfalls, rivers that can be developed into pico and micro and mini hydropower plants, okay? So what we have to do is to develop those smaller hydro resources so that we can be able to support the rural electrification agenda, especially with respect to remote communities around the country, okay? And in the light of wind, like I said before, the resource is limited, like I said, to the eastern coastal areas where the speeds can go up to 7 meters per second. And so, and government, of course, is doing so well in that regard. The VRA, like I told you, the Ayitepa plant, 225 megawatts, that's huge. It's a huge wind farm. And then Konikabla, about 160 megawatts, that's also very huge, okay? I think the largest currently in West Africa functional is at Ndiaye in Senegal. I think they do about 106 or so megawatts, okay? So Ayitepa is really, really huge. I'm sure when it becomes functional, I mean, we can send postgraduate students from here to those places to do measurements, to do studies on the plant so that we can draw lessons from that and then develop smaller, small-scale projects around the countryside, especially in communities, like I said before, communities where we cannot easily extend the national grid, okay? So that we can support, smaller clinics or health facilities, libraries and other projects in such communities around the country. But I can assure you that we have the necessary qualifications here at KNUST, and there's a lot that we can do, but we need support. You understand? Yeah, so like I said before, the Ayitepa one is an ongoing project, okay? Structures are already in place, so very soon it will become functional, yes. And there are also several feasibility studies going on to develop wind as well as hydro plants. There are challenges. Certainly, there are challenges. I think the primary challenge is because we don't have a strong wind resource nationwide. Okay, you know, feasibility studies have been ongoing for a very long time. And then findings from the studies suggest that we don't have a very strong wind resource nationwide, like average. Are you getting it? It's only localized at certain places. I think that's primarily the reason why interest in wind hasn't been very strong until recently. So that is the main problem. But government has been up and doing in terms of policies that support the development of wind. They've been doing that for a long time, and there are policies existing already to support, and there are also targets captured in the Renewable Energy Master Plan to support the development of wind.
Because you find electricity for everybody, whether you are in a deprived area, whether you are how should I even say it? Like in a village, you would be able to gain electricity.
Yeah, so because it is difficult to extend the grid to all areas of the country, especially these remote rural areas that we talk about, we need to develop smaller plants, okay? For instance, in the case of wind, we can develop these smaller horizontal axis plants for local communities to support, for instance, clinics, schools, and community libraries, etc., etc. Are you getting it? And that's, to a large extent, depends on us here at the university. We need to begin to partner with major stakeholders in that area, like VRA, the Energy Commission, and other important stakeholders, okay, so that we can build the capacity and be able to develop these things using locally available materials. Because one of the primary problems that we have with power infrastructure is the cost. You see, the huge upfront cost with respect to hydro and wind. You understand? And that is because we procure almost everything in this country. We have to procure everything. But if we can develop the capacity to build some of these things locally by ourselves, using locally available materials, then that will cut down the cost drastically. And then we will be able to upscale the development of wind, for instance. And for hydro, we have larger plants here, so we don't really have a problem with that. But we have to develop capacity so that we are able to implement these projects by ourselves, using locally available materials in that respect. In the first place, you see, here in Ghana, it's like there are a lot of people who underestimate what we can do here in academia. People think that we are just in the classroom teaching and that's all. But there's a lot that we can do as individuals and also as an institution here, particularly at KNUST, because we have, well-resourced personnel here, people who have studied in all kinds of universities around the world and who have various capabilities. Are you getting it? And so government and other important stakeholders must begin to have confidence in us. And I'm very happy that VRA has initiated that process, okay? When last year they approached us and asked that we collaborate with them. And they have actually made available some good amount of money to support the project that I talked about previously. So we have a PhD student from mechanical and students from other departments, electrical and other departments, who are also working on similar projects under funding from VRA. And so we hope that in the future we will get more of such support so that we can show what we are capable of doing in order to support national agenda.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.